58. Go. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
Welcome in tonight. The Huddle is on the air, and we are glad that you are hanging out with us this evening as I sit here in the beautiful North Woods. Got out and about a little bit today and enjoyed some of the day anyway. You know, had a chance to, although it's still kind of rainy and drizzly here, it's still great to be in the North Woods. So we get ready for tomorrow night's contest. The Packers, the Commanders. Reminder that tomorrow night we're going to be live at Castaways Bar and Grill. I was over there earlier today and saw a few people that are excited about tomorrow evening. We're going to be there for a watch party, and the Green and Gold postgame show is going to emanate live here in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. And if you're one of the locals, come on by. And if you're just coming into the area for the Tomahawk Fall Ride, also come on by as the Green and Gold postgame show. About 10:30 tomorrow night until midnight. We're going to be getting your reaction to the Packers and the Commanders. It's only the second time that the Packers will play on Thursday night in week 2. They did it back in 2012 against Chicago. And the first primetime game against Washington at Lambeau Field since Monday Night Football back in 2001. If you remember, that was the first game after 9/11. So that was the last time that the Packers hosted the Commanders, and did it here at Lambeau Field in prime time, and they're going to be doing it on 9/11 again coming up tomorrow. The first game between Washington and Green Bay took place in 1932. The Packers lead the regular season series 20-16-1, and it's the first time since 2018 Green Bay is going to play its first 2 games at home at Lambeau Field. So welcome into the Huddle. Looking forward to obviously tomorrow night, but I guess there are some concerns when you start to look at the injury report as to whether or not the Packers are going to be healthy, for lack of a better term. You got some guys that went down. Zane Anderson's nursing the knee, but Aaron Banks, the guard who has the ankle / the groin issue going on, did not practice, and he is most likely not going to play. Also, Brenton Cox Jr., he has got the groin issue. He is out for this contest. Bo Melton has got a shoulder issue after getting banged up. He is out for this contest. Questionable, Nate Hobbs coming back from the knee. He was limited the last couple of days, still listed as questionable. Micah Parsons, we know the back. He was limited. They kind of take care of the back, make sure they nurse it back to health. Listed as questionable. You got to assume he's going to be playing. Zach Tom, he's got an oblique issue, did not practice all week, and he's still listed as questionable. Not practicing, you would assume that that's not a good thing, and he is most likely not going to be participating. If he does, then that's gravy. That's gravy. You've got John Bates for the Commanders. He's got a shoulder issue. He's back at practice, fully participating. Noah Brown, the wide receiver, he did not practice today, but then again, they say he's got the knee issue. They're just giving him a day off, so even though he didn't practice and participate in practice, most likely he is going to play. Everybody else pretty much going to play, and they're giving guys rests after their game the other day and then getting them on a flight to come here to Lambeau Field and get ready for tomorrow night's contest. So there are some concerns, and the list, by the way, for those banged up on the Packers has grown from 10 guys. It's 12, 13, 14 players right now. So and what, 5 of them are questionable. 2 of them are already listed as out in this contest. So the Packers' early season woes when it comes to the injuries, they're banged up. Make no mistake about it. They're banged up right now. So there you go. That's a little bit to be concerned about, I guess, to say the very least. Graham Bills, how are you doing on this evening?
I'm doing good, partner. Anything new with you over the last couple of hours?
No, it's, I went over to Castaways Bar and Grill, and I checked out the scene for tomorrow. And we're going to do a little run.
Have you done a show there before, or is this
never
the first
done
time?
one? And so I wanted to go over because there were some questions about internet, and it's spotty cell service up here. So in one area you'll get it, you drive down the street, and then you won't. And so I didn't think I could do the show that we needed to do via the cell service. So tomorrow morning, early before they open, we're going to get over there and test some lines and make sure we're good to go. But it should be good, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We already saw some people that were over there today that are in town for the fall ride. That it was raining up here earlier today when we got off the air at 2:00. It was like a deluge. I mean, it was coming down like crazy. And you look on the radar, and there's just little
green dots. It's not like a sustained front or anything. It's just little green dots, and it's foggy and it's misty. And then I drove into town and it stopped raining. And then once I got into a Castaways, it started raining steady. That I can't even describe it. It's not these big raindrops. It's these little raindrops, but it's steady and heavy. And so that was coming down for a while. And it's just, if you're on a motorcycle, I feel for you because I hate riding in the rain. And that's what it's doing up here. Not to mention all the campsites over at Holly's, over at Bubba's, all the different recreational areas. Now they're just mud pits if you're driving through. So if you're going in there, you just be careful on your bike, be careful in the cars, don't trench things, don't, kind of gear it up and think you're being cool and, drive in big ruts through the ground because motorcyclists have to travel through that. But yeah, it's a nasty mess up here right now. It is going to clear up as the night goes on and be a little cloudy tomorrow and then be really nice tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, it's not fall. I'll tell you that. It's like 67 degrees and balmy, like humid, sticky. So it's not like it's cold out, but it's not conducive to ride in the Tomahawk Fall ride. But the way I look at it is you should be able to ride tomorrow night. And even if you don't drive, come on over. We're going to be at Castaways. We're going to sit down and watch the Packer game, have some great food. I tell you what, since Trish and her husband bought that place a few years ago, they have really upped their game when it comes to food. They are really, really good food. So we're all going to be fed well tomorrow night. Hopefully enjoy a Packers win and talk about it after the fact. So all of that's going on. I would be momentarily remiss if we did not in any way, shape, or form mention the goings on today. I think it would be a mistake on our part. We don't mix politics on this program. Never have. Don't do it. There are things that we feel strongly about when it comes to right and wrong, but we don't get into the political aspect of it. So don't make this political. But today, a tragic day to have a guy like Charlie Kirk assassinated. And no matter what side of the aisle you fall on, he was a guy that welcomed opinions, and specifically differing opinions. If you were somebody that disagreed with him, he brought you to the front of the line. He wanted to talk to you. Never did it with violence, never did it with hate. He just loved to debate, hoping to either change your mind or enlighten you, and vice versa. And it's a tragic day when you're on a college campus trying to exchange ideas with the people that are going to mold, shape, and take our world into the next couple of decades. To be assassinated like that. And if you're one of those people, even in the smallest of ways, who condoned or rationalized or even celebrated this moment, go look in the mirror and hope that nobody out there disagrees with you or any of your family members in the same way. You got to find a place in your soul to be able to disagree intelligently, and you cannot accept violence. That kind of stuff has to stop. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But a tragic day. And certainly you think about him, his wife, and his kids. So I would be remiss if we didn't mention it, because obviously it is a very, very, very large story, a heavy story throughout the United States today. So I wanted to make sure we at least acknowledge that. It's hard to go back into football after that, but there are some concerns coming up for tomorrow night for the Packers and the Commanders. Obviously, the offensive line, which has really not played together in the preseason, and certainly with the injuries, has not had a chance to become conducive and kind of cohesive on that same page. So now you're going to have more mixing and matching going on, which is one of the reasons the Packers offensive line coaches love to mix and match those guys, and they love the depth they have just in case something like this happened. But you've got Banks, Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker was nursing the injury all throughout the training camp, and really this last game against the Lions was his first real effort this season. So now you got Elton Jenkins and a new partner next to him, and possibly Zach Tom being down. There's a concern. You don't want to see Jordan Love taking shots from a pretty aggressive, we'll say, Commanders defense. On the other hand, the good things are that defensively speaking, the Packers look pretty good. For the most part, look relatively healthy. The biggest question coming into tomorrow night's game is whether or not they can contain Jaden Daniels. Try to keep him in a pocket. Try to keep him kind of fenced in. And if the pocket collapses, you got to have somebody on the outside to be able to go after him. And you're probably going to, I would assume Hafley's going to have a spy, whether it's Edrin Cooper or whether it's going to be Quay Walker. We'll have to wait and see. But I think you got to spy him. You got to have somebody downfield, because he does not mind taking off, and he's very good with the football when he tucks it and runs with it. That, to me, if you want to talk about things to win this game tomorrow night, that to me is going to be probably paramount when it comes to the ability to knock off the Commanders. It's a good football team coming into Lambeau Field. Also, though, if you do and you start to dare to dream, if you're a Packers fan, if you get a win tomorrow night and you check those first two boxes, and tomorrow night's a win, it's not going to be pretty. You don't care how you get from point A to point B. And nobody's going to judge you on this one in a quick 3.5, 4-day turnaround. You just get the dub. That's all you're worried about. The rest of it can be fashionable down the road when you get time in between games. This one's just about getting the dub. But if you get 2 wins out of the chute, the start that you and I talked about, Grant, about what they could possibly do, it could lead to big things for this team in a level of confidence, to be able to compete with those teams that they really weren't able to compete with last year, to knock off 2 quality opponents and 2 teams that were vying to go to an NFC championship game. And obviously the Washington Commanders ended up knocking off the Detroit Lions last year to be able to go and face Philadelphia. But these are 2 really, really good football teams that you faced early on. And if you can beat them, suddenly it goes from the expectation level being, hey, let's just see if we can get to the postseason, to you really have a legitimate shot. You have a really legitimate shot at ending up in the top 2 or 3 echelon of this thing. And as the season goes on, to say you have a legitimate shot at getting to and winning a Super Bowl. So your first 2 litmus tests right out of the chute.
Well, and again, not to, win-loss the entire schedule, but if they can win on Thursday, they have 10 days off then before going to Cleveland.
Yep.
Who I don't think any of us think will be better than Detroit or Washington. And then Dallas before the bye, but Dallas isn't a place that they're scared of going to play. They probably love an opportunity to go down there. So you put yourself in a really good position if you win this Thursday to be 3-1, probably at the worst going into the bye, and maybe a chance to be 4-0 and not dropping a single game before the bye, and then a chance to get healthy before the schedule really starts to tighten up, mostly in like the final third of the season.
Yep. 100%. It's going to be like I said, it's a big game for the Packers in the sense of being able to check those 2 boxes. And we talked about the boxes that needed to be checked in game 1. The offensive line needed to be able to play together and look good doing it. You want to see them do a little bit better in the run, but now I get the feeling that Josh Jacobs is alone on an island, and whatever he gets is going to be yardage that he just grinds out himself. 2, again, keep Jordan Love upright, but I want to see consistency out of Jordan Love. He did pretty well in game 1, played well, kept his fundamentals, kept his feet under him. The 2 throws that he made, the one was called back. The interception was called back because of a penalty. The other one was dropped. And he's shown in the past that there's a propensity to turn the ball over. Can't turn the ball over against this team. Can't do it. Can't just whale it up and hope. If you're thinking in your head for a split second about hoping that it gets there, don't do it. Don't do it. Live to fight another day. Don't do it, specifically in your own territory. That's number 2. Number 3, more cohesion out of the defense. Continue to grow. Continue to feel it. Continue to feel that energy. And it's going to be energy tomorrow night. It's a gold package game. We all know that. The tickets are going relatively cheap because people don't want to drive back and forth to Milwaukee or whatever reason they possibly have. But it's a primetime game. Be able to check that box defensively speaking. And then I guess the third thing to me is to see more and more growth out of the wide receiving core, and to be able to see the tight ends become involved and a little more comfort out of Jordan Love with the offense. I guess a side note to that would be going back to the defensive side of the football. I want to see downfield cut, because tomorrow night you're going to get tested. You did a pretty good job with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to get tested again with Jaden Daniels and his scramble capability, which can extend plays and how long you're going to have to cover. So I'm really interested in watching the secondary and how they perform coming up tomorrow night. All right, let's do this. Mike Clemens is going to join us live in Green Bay out of the Packers locker room. Like I said, they've got some injuries that they are nursing. Don't go anywhere. The Bill Michaels Huddle on this Wednesday night, kind of a rainy Wednesday night here in the Northwoods. We're okay. We're going to be here. We're going to come right back. We're anticipating tomorrow night and all the fun and frivolity we're going to have, but we're going to talk to Mike Clemens about at Lambeau in Green Bay tomorrow night against the Commanders. Stay tuned. We got more right after this.
Oh, yeah. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's been the emphasis all off season, man. Like, we got to start faster with whatever we do, whether it's practice, walkthrough, whatever it is, just being very intentional and just starting fast, focusing in on the details. I just think it's a great momentum boost, man. That's a great team, and we started fast like we should today, and we did what we were supposed to do, and we just got to continue to have that start to every game on our schedule, and we'll be in great shape.
Welcome back to Bill Michaels Huddle. Live here in the North Woods. Mike Clemens, our guy, is brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Bay Motel with the family restaurant next door, only a mile from Lambeau Field. And if you're looking for a reservation, go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com, or call them 920-494-3441. Don't forget, homestyle cooking at the restaurant 7 days a week. Great place to go. baymotelgreenbay.com, 920-494-3441. And you can check that out. And Mike Clemens now joining us up in Green Bay. How you doing there, Mike?
Good, Bill. How are you? Hello to all the big unit listeners and the Packers fans up there and listen to the show.
We're doing great. They're excited for tomorrow night. We saw some fans over at Castaways a little bit earlier today when we went over there and did a little bit of a site check, and people anticipating tomorrow night's contest. But more so than anything, I said my keys to the game, Mike, are, let's start with Jordan Love, who had a pretty good game, a couple of errant throws, and he has had a propensity at times to throw the ball away. But if he protects the ball and keeps throwing it the way he did to Jaden Reed, throw it the way he did to Romeo Doubs, the checkdowns, the smart passes, he can make this offense go and make it look really impressive.
Yeah, and you heard there coming out of the break, Jaden Reed, your wide receiver who missed most of camp off on the sidelines with his Jones fracture in his left foot, just, behind the pinky toe. But, he got it together and got on the field, ran some routes, and ended up leading the team actually with catches as they spread the ball around. I counted 9 different receivers, 9 different targets caught the ball in the Packers' first 2 opening drives. I think it was amazing how Jordan Love had so much time back there in the pocket, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Jaden said in his locker there after the game, I thought it was an interesting comment about, he said, practice fast, start fast in games. And I thought, that's a little profound for me. In other words, what he's saying is, during the weekdays, we come into the meetings, we have our weightlifting, then we have a meeting, and they install some new plays or talk about the game plan. Then we have a walkthrough. Then you get dressed and you get ready, and you go through your warm-ups. But now, when we walk out on the grass and we run our first series of plays on offense, you've got to pretend that that's the first series of a game. You have to get yourself mentally ready that your first at-bat is going to be a home run, right? Mm. Or you're at least going to get a hit. You're going to connect some way. And so I talked to Jordan about that. I said, Jaden said this after the game, and the key to fast starts is to those first few reps in practice, like those first 5 reps, you got to treat it like you're in a game, right?
Definitely. I mean, everything you do, you want to start fast. Practice, you want to go out there and execute every play at a high level. And like you said, it's all about the way you start. It just gives you I feel like the energy, it just keeps you focused on the day at hand, versus, a bad start, slow start, things like that. But no, I mean, it's one thing that we've focused on, and it's definitely been a big focus for us the past 2 years as well, is just, as an offense, how do we come out, start as fast as possible, try and go down on that first drive and get points, because I think it sets you up for the rest of the game, and it just puts you in a great spot, gives guys that confidence to keep going and executing.
Mike, I would assume, is this a trickle-down effect from the coaches, or is this something that Jaden Reed, Jordan Love, and others have taken upon themselves to say, practice fast, start fast?
Well, I was talking to Stanovich about it, the offensive coordinator, Adam, because, I'm at practice every day, and it's not like I see it, they talk about this stuff in the meetings, right? When you're at practice, it's click, 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 click. Call a play, run a play. All right, and sometimes you see a coach making a quick correction, but they want to keep hustling because they're on the clock. They're limited to how much time they can practice under the CBA. So in terms of the preaching and all that stuff, I don't get to see that because that's behind closed doors in the meetings. But I just thought that, that's something I will pay more attention to in practice to see if the coaches, get more upset if they see, a penalty, somebody jump off sides, whatever. You don't see it, though, because they are pretty crisp. The other thing in terms of big picture is Jordan Love and this team as general, they're still not mature enough to be like safe through the first couple of quarters and then pour it on in the second half and be a comfort behind team all the time, right? I mean, they don't have enough guys to put. They're not at the Favre and Aaron Rodgers level yet,
right?
So they have to get these fast starts, and the fast start, their best games, their best games under LaFleur is the playoff win against the Cowboys in the wild card playoff 2 years ago, and why? Because they got off to that fast start, and then you can unleash the dogs on defense and go after their quarterback. So I asked Stanovich about this comment from Jaden Reed, that, do you react about preaching fast start in practice, fast start in games? Is that something that you have emphasized?
Yeah, a lot of times we actually start practice with team reps against, one-on-one, one defense versus one offense, just to kind of emphasize that, where it's like, hey, we got to start fast. You got to show up ready to go right away. Obviously, it's really important in a game to get to a fast start and control the tempo of the game.
Mike, obviously a fast start would mean involving the wide receivers and getting the ball downfield and getting into a rhythm, I think, more so than anything. And like he said, it's something that they're emphasizing to those guys. It's not just running the football 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's about getting everybody into a rhythm.
Yeah, and against a tough Lions team that you beat 27-13, when you got to be midway end of the second quarter and you're up 17-3, it felt pretty good, right? At halftime, it's like, wow, this is the Packers' day, and let's see if they can maintain that momentum, into the second half. But, this thing is under control so far in Green Bay, even though it's just 17-3. And so then the next thing is you see the execution. You see Tucker Kraft get his helmet ripped off by Brian Branch and not take the bait, just stand there while this guy is throwing his helmet to the Lions sidelines, and then they get the flag for unsportsmanlike and the 15-yard penalty, whatever. but you saw the headbutting and the other stuff going on. And then the Packers go up with the touch. I thought it was great. They came back to Tucker Kraft with that great laser over the middle to score. A few plays after that incident happened, you come back to Tucker Kraft to make him look. Then they got a field goal, and then that touchdown pass to Jaden Reed on the right-hand side. So Reed lines up just outside Zach Tom, the right tackle. And then they got Dontavian Wicks in the slot. And now the far outside is number 18, Malik Heath, like your fifth or sixth receiver. And the Wicks just takes a step and sets a pick. He just stands there, his hands at his side. He's not touching. He's not going to be accused of holding. But legally, he can just stand there and get in the way of the nickel that's supposed to be trailing Reed as he scoots out from right tackle now to the sideline. 17-yard touchdown on a beautiful dart. But, he got 2 or 3 steps with that bad foot. But good hands off of that defensive back. So we asked Stenovich, how tricky is it to coach up the receivers on a legal pick and roll like Dontavian Wicks executed to set that up for Jaden Reed on that TD pass to get you up 17-3?
Yeah. Oh no, that's a big emphasis, with how you coach it. And I think Coach Vrabel and Coach Mahaffey, they did a great job with that, just coaching it up. And just teaching the technique of avoiding the guy, forcing him underneath in order to get leverage on the throw. So, yeah, it was a good job by everybody.
How does that work? Like, can he just stand there and if the guy runs into him, that's the guy's fault?
Yeah, as long as you don't initiate contact 1 yard down the field, you're all right. But if you go hit him and he backs up 1 yard off the ball, then it's a pick penalty. Yeah.
Mike, one of the things that kind of went very silent, although it was announced today, Christian Watson gets a contract extension, and they pay him a little bit more money, kind of a let's see what you got kind of deal. But, he's a guy that I know he's making progress, and you're hoping he's back sooner rather than later. You're wanting back completely healthy, though. But if he can keep that speed and really kind of emerge as a wide receiver, you talk about the speed and the hands and such that they would have in the downfield threat, that could really make this team dangerous.
Yeah, Bill. So from a PR standpoint, from a controlling the news standpoint, right? So they let us in the locker room. We're at practice. We get to talk to Jordan Love and Micah Parsons and anybody else we went to, Josh Jacobs, and what do you think about this Commanders game and all that? And they close the doors on us. They wait a couple hours. All of a sudden, Christian Watson gets a new contract extension for $13.2 million. We can't ask questions of Jordan Love like, "Hey, how about Christian getting that extension?" Or chasing down Watson and say, "Hey, congratulations." No. Because now the doors are locked. We're into the game. It's it's the wonderful little play, the way they play this stuff out, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That we'll give them something to chew on the day off before the game tomorrow night. But what did you think of that signing? I mean, to me, it looks like, Bill, he's in the last year of his rookie contract. He's, coming off an ACL. But, the fact is, I see him running up and down the sidelines. And we saw David Bakhtiari do some amazing things for 2 years. And, his career was over. But so far, so good. It looks pretty good in the workout. And I think they did this because it's like, sign him now. We think he's going to come back. We think he'll be successful. But, if he has a hot year, at least we got him locked up for next year, and we don't have to pay CeeDee Lamb money, right? Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. It's pay him now while you're buying him at low rather than at high, and it gives you perspective to say, okay, let's see what this guy's got. And if he's got something in the tank, maybe you know how they work, man. Mid-season, you could also hear about some kind of a contract extension because he's not going to get CeeDee Lamb money. He's not going to get Jamar Chase money. But if he turns out to be a really good bookend with a guy speed-wise with Matthew Golden, he could be an asset to this offense, and they could end up working out a deal with him. But this is a prove-it deal.
And he could have gotten more than 13.2, that's for sure, right?
Right.
So I asked Christian, this is from about a week ago, hey, it looks like you're making progress from the torn ACL. Do you have any idea when? Now, he's on the PUP right now, but do you have an idea when you could be back to play?
I mean, I don't have a timeline as of right now. I mean, I'm just trying to, get back to feeling 100%, doing, everything I need to do out there. And then I'll kind of just let the trainers and everything, let me out. I mean, it's been feeling really good so far. I haven't, had anything, to deal with so far. It's all just been, feeling really good. I'm able to just keep on going out there and attacking my rehab. And it's been going real good.
Yeah, he You'd like to see him come back soon. I still say end of October. That's probably a somewhat of a conservative guess, but like you said, he's been doing things. But then again, like you mentioned, we also saw Bakhtiari doing things, and he really never returned. And, Goody is smart to say, hey, we've got faith in this guy. They believe that there was a reason they drafted this guy, that he's got that level of ability, and he was playing good when he went down with a knee injury.
Right. And things I did not have on my to-do list to check out is Brian Gutekunst, the GM, signing Christian Watson to a contract while he's still coming back from ACL. I also didn't have him down for getting Micah Parsons. I didn't have that one down either.
Yeah, I know.
But Goody was asked about Christian Watson's progress about 2 weeks ago, and here's what he said.
He's ahead of the curve, no doubt about it. But at the same time, he's got a long career in front of him. So we're going to make sure that, we do the proper steps. We don't skip any steps along the way. But, I think, more than likely he'll start the year, on PUP. When after that fourth game, when he's, I'm sure he's going to be chomping at the bit. It's going to take a lot of us to hold him back.
Let's do this. Mike Clemens joining us up in Green Bay, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more with Mike. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up next.
Let we go. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It gives us a big jolt. I think everybody was excited just because we know what type of player he is. We played against him a couple years ago in the playoffs, so we know exactly who he is and what he's capable of out there on the field. So, you look at our defense, what we got already with RG and Mike on the other side of that, I think some exciting things can happen.
They already have. It's been the Michael Parsons effect for the Green Bay Packers. Welcome back to Bill Michaels Huddle on this Wednesday night. Getting you ready for tomorrow night's contest between the Packers and the Commanders. We go back to Mike Clemens in Green Bay. And Mike, we saw his effect this past Sunday. He's got familiarity with Dan Quinn over there because Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator in Dallas for a while. So he knows a little bit of the insight of Dan Quinn, who's coming in tomorrow night with the Commanders.
Yeah, when you hear Micah Parsons has been traded, they're giving up these 2 picks. He's got this back injury. You're sending Kenny Clark away out of that locker room. And isn't this Parsons? Isn't this guy have a loudmouth? He's got a podcast. Well, I kind of felt the same way about this Josh Jacobs guy coming from Vegas and the Raiders. And is this guy going to be a problem? And, you keep on trusting the Packers front office that they do the due diligence, they do the work on these guys. And then you even ask Matt LaFleur right up there at the podium, I asked him, what do you think about the fit of this guy? He says, yeah, I called to some coaches. And then I talked to you after that. I said, who would he be? Oh, wait a minute. Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator with the Seahawks with the Legion of Boom, head coach of the Falcons when Matt Ryan was the MVP. And who was his quarterback coach? Matt LaFleur. And so all he has got to do is call Dan Quinn, who was Mike McCarthy's defensive coordinator those first 2 or 3 years before Dan moved on and got another head coaching job in Washington. I think McCarthy made a horrible mistake by bringing back Mike Zimmer from the old Vikings head coach as his defensive coordinator. And in the meantime, right there, I'm standing next to Micah Parsons, and, we asked him, so what was your relationship like with Dan Quinn when he was your defensive coordinator down there at Dallas?
Yeah, Dan's my guy. Even going through the process over the years, he's always reached out, just checking on me as a person. Never really cared about football, always telling me how much his wife missed me and, and how he hopes to see me in Hawaii one day. And, that's just my guy. Like, he knows that's like, father figure, uncle, however you want to put it. That's my guy. And, we're going to go forever. We're in this for the long run. And, maybe our journeys might cross again one day.
A lot of respect. And, Mike, all the things petulantly we heard about Micah Parsons, none of that has surfaced in Green Bay. It's like there's just a different rebirth for Micah Parsons in Green Bay. And, on the football field, obviously, we talked about getting into football shape. He looked a little gassed at the end of that game the other day, and it's going to take him a while.
Yeah, but, I was there's an NFL former head coach that had a chance to talk to just a couple of weeks ago, was around here, and we were talking about, getting in shape and, going back from all the preseason games you used to have, whether or not you play players during the preseason, et cetera. And he said, look, you could be in the tip-top shape. You can run all the gassers you want. When you play 4 quarters of an NFL football game week 1, anybody is going to be gassed by the third quarter. The punter is going to be gassed by the third, fourth quarter. There's no such thing, especially when you play defensive end or a linebacker like Parsons. When you have to push around 300-pound guys, that's how you get into football shape. And there's no, unless you practice carrying refrigerators up from the basement, there's no other way you get in shape for that. And so I told that to Micah Parsons yesterday to react to that, and here's what he said.
I just think about it, it's just mind over matter. I was tired as ever, but at the end of the day, you just got to want it a little bit more than the next guy, and I think that's just what it's about. And it's the determination, it's the will, it's the grunt, to push while you're tired. Because I told them, the other day when they were talking to me about the snap count, I was like, we can run gassers, we can be in practice, and you give me these plays, we can run to the ball. But I was like, at the end of the day, you got to let me push through some things. You got to let me, get tired and get wore out there, so that way I can become better and get better from it. And, that's when it was like, okay, your reps can go up. You got to really, sometimes you got to fight for your own right to play, even though they bring you in.
Mike, the one thing I couldn't help but listen to was his comments after the game when he talked about flying to the football. And then prior to that, he talked about the atmosphere in Green Bay, the teammates, all the guys being in the facility. It didn't seem like he had that around him down in Dallas. It's a different atmosphere.
Yeah, and of course, I'm looking for some guy that just got paid $188 million over the next 4 years. Is this guy just saying the right things? Or is he telling the truth? But so far, his perceptions on how to treat himself as an athlete, how to play the football game, how to hustle to the ball. And when he says, these guys here, they all work hard, man. They work pretty hard. And I'm here to show them how you can work even harder and smarter, as a 26-year-old top 5 player in the NFL. So then he was asked, well, so what was it like with the guys you played with down in Dallas?
Yeah, the standard's the standard wherever I go. I think I saw that in Dallas. I saw that, here. So the standard's the standard. I think, you look at that film, there was a play like 3 years ago where we ended up winning the game because we ran to the ball, got a stop, and then they fumbled on the goal line, So it's just always about, giving more. And I think Dan Quinn put that in those guys was that Dan Quinn system when he was there with my rookie year and just so forth. It's just about the players in the room. You got to want it more.
He talks about that a lot. You got to want it more. You got to have something inside you that says, I need this more than the other guy does. And that's got to rub off on your coach. It certainly makes Jeff Hafley look good.
Yeah. And Bill, we got to explain to folks. It's one thing when we see it on TV, but you and I have both agreed. What we saw through the glass in the press box Sunday afternoon, this guy looks like some sort of a being from another time or dimension. He looks like the Flash out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible how quick he comes off the ball. And so we asked Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, were you kind of surprised that he got up to 29 snaps against the Lions? Is that more than you expected he could play in the first week?
Well, I thought he was going to play the whole game. So, I wasn't going to take him out. Maybe, I'm not sure. To be honest with you, when I was up there, I wasn't counting his reps. I was just hoping that he would continue to go back out there. But I know they had a range they wanted him to get to because the guy. We've barely known him for a week. He hasn't practiced much, so we had to take care of him too.
Mike, do you see Hafley and the other defensive coaches screaming, swarm to the ball the way they did and what we witnessed behind the glass up there in the press box on Sunday?
No, but what really stood out to me was after the game, it was LaFleur that said, that's what I've been looking for. See, look, remember, we played clips when Joe Barry was here, when LaFleur would go up against another team and the defense say, I like their style of defense. He kept on pointing to him look at that, man, 11 hands to the ball. They play through the whistle. all that kind of stuff. And he didn't see that. Well, Micah Parsons is not on the field, and when everybody sees him chasing down people across the way, running downfield and chasing guys from behind, whatever, the play's not over until the play is over. So Hafley was asked, LaFleur said that. I mean, did you see the Packers defensive team from the press box from your spot up there calling the plays in the radio headset of Quay Walker? All 11 swarmed to the ball nearly every play in the game against the Lions?
Well, I think you really started to see it at the end of last year. And remember, I told you the most important thing was how could we get back to where we finished the season? And the challenge was where we finished the season last year. I thought our play style was really good. I thought we played hard. That goes back to guys knowing what they're doing, guys having confidence, and guys not being afraid to make a mistake. Those are the most important things we talk about all the time, is taking the ball away and how hard we're going to play. In order to do that, you have to have confidence. And that's what you earn on the practice field, and you practice that hard. In order to do that, when you get into a game between you and your coaches, and our coaches have done a wonderful job, I thought, in that game plan last week to get them ready, they got to know what they're doing. And they can't be afraid to make a mistake, so they're kind of tiptoeing into things. And you're not worried about missing a tackle. You're going to go run as fast as you can and take a shot, and you're not going to break down because there's 10 other guys following you, right? So I think it started at the end of last year. It continued in OTAs. It continued in training camp. And then I just think they let it all out. It's a confident group that loves to play football, that loves to play with each other. They're coachable, and they just kind of got together, and that's how hard they played. But that's the standard now. And if they're not doing it, then they shouldn't be on the field, and someone else should go in the game.
That's a strong statement, that if that's not the way you want to play, then you don't have a part on this team or via the defense specifically. So I really like that message coming from Hafley. One of the guys that was kind of an unsung hero, Mike, I know Josh Jacobs didn't have the best day running the football. He started to grind out yards after the fact later in that ball game. But, boy, I tell you what, there was a couple of times that had he not been in the backfield, Jordan Love might be eating soup with a straw.
Yeah, and you're right. It wasn't even so much the front five, but that Lions defense, was sending somebody off on the corner, and it was either Josh Jacobs, number 8, your top running back, or Chris Brooks was out there doing it. Now, we asked one of the guys, I think it was Stenovich, about, what about Emmanuel Wilson? Yeah, that's not what we count on him for. So they like Chris Brooks as their number 2 guy. And then they even had some of those 2 running back formations on some of the plays, which they rarely run before. So even though we talked about, that battle for, do they really have a strong number 2 running back behind Josh Jacobs? I guess that's Chris Brooks right now, maybe Emmanuel Wilson for, his speed. But we went to Josh Jacobs and said, man, coach is giving you praise on how well your pass protection was to protect Jordan Love, to be that 6th guy to help chipping guys like an Aiden Hutchinson, whatever. What does that take?
I would say the number one thing is definitely just the want to, because these guys, they got 5 yards of full sprint basically to just bull you in a lot of cases. So just really want to, and I think the biggest thing is just knowing who to go to, trying your best to win. Obviously you're not gonna win every time, but just playing your best for 4. That's a big testament to our coach, and we worked at it really heavy this camp, just trying to come in and work the mechanics of blitz pickup.
Let's do this. We're talking to Mike Clemens. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour with Mike. We got another hour yet to go, so don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle coming up right after this.
This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The fans that showed up brought great energy, and the fans that sold their tickets to all those Lions fans got to be better.
Got to be better. Tickets are on sale at a cheap price for the Commanders game coming up tomorrow night at Lambeau Field. I don't think as many Commander fans are going to be in the stands as Lions fans or Bears fans or Vikings fans, but a lot of Honolulu blue in the stands. That was for damn sure. No doubt about it. Welcome back in. Mike Clemens joining us live in Green Bay. And, Mike, to me, some of the concerns are the injuries right now. You've got injuries to Zach Tom, the right tackle. Aaron Banks just gets back from injury, and now he's down again. Some of that injury list is, I guess, I'm a little bit concerned.
And when LaFleur said that after the game Sunday night, I was thinking, oh, Bill Michaels called that. And just like, what's with all the damn blue jerseys here today? You know, people are getting those tickets somewhere. Don't think that the Commanders will have quite that bit of a following. I just counted. There's like a dozen players that would have been questionable or did not participate in if they'd had a full practice today, according to the latest injury report. Bo Melton is out of the game. Your defensive back and special teams player with that shoulder injury, he left the game with. And Brenton Cox Jr., at the defensive end, fast kid, he puts pressure on quarterbacks. He left the game with a groin. He's out. He will be out for the game. On the Packers' offensive line, you saw Zach Tom, the right tackle, leave the game, and Darian Kennard, who they picked up in that trade for, what was it, a 6th-round pick from the Eagles, he filled in a right tackle, seemed to do okay. Didn't have much to say when we talked to him about it, but Zach Thomas questionable, and it was originally talked about as a hip, but he's down on the injury report with an oblique strain, so did not participate, but questionable. Game time decision tomorrow night maybe. Aaron Banks, the high-priced left guard you got, is dealing with an ankle or a groin, and LaFleur was asked about those two guys on the offensive line.
We'll give them all the way up to game time to see where they're at. Certainly two guys that have a lot of experience, and, so that's not as concerned about them. We're not really, we're walking through, but there's no live reps this week. So, we'll just see where we're at.
Mike, you had mentioned earlier about the time that, Matt LaFleur obviously had time with Coach Dan Quinn and, with the quarterback coach as he was with Matt Ryan. There's a little history there. Those guys know one another, maybe know little tendencies.
Yeah, and when you sent me to Atlanta to Flowery Branch, about an hour north of Atlanta, with some of those key playoff games between the Packers and the Falcons, or some regular season games. And Dan Quinn was the coach. You could be there in the media room, and then when he get done, he'd come down and walk over and come over to the new guy, me, and say, "Hi, Dan Quinn. Who are you?" "Oh, Mike Clemens. I'm just here from Wisconsin." "Oh, great." And over there on the field was going to be a future head coach I was going to cover in about 3 or 4 years, and that was Matt LaFleur. And so we asked him about his relationship with Dan Quinn through the years.
It was invaluable to me. Like, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't be standing right here right now if it weren't for being with DQ for those 2 years in Atlanta, and just changed my whole mindset in regards to just how much fun you can have within the building, yet still get down to business. We're coaching ball. These guys are playing ball. It was a great environment.
Mike, anything, we got about a minute here, but anything before tomorrow night? Obviously, it's a white-out night. Fans are encouraged to wear white. So if anybody's wearing maroon, they're certainly going to stand out tomorrow night. But your keys to the game tomorrow, if you got a couple three that you want to go over.
Trying to contain Jaden Daniels. All I can think of was that Hail Mary pass was that Tariq Stevenson from the Bears that's standing back there waving and taunting the fans.
Right.
And meanwhile, he sails one 60 yards over his head to score to beat the Bears. This is a dangerous team that can score high. They got Terry McLaurin back there on a 3-year, $96 million deal. He's a great guy, great receiver. So that'll be the key, is to make sure that you don't let Jaden Daniels take over the game, because man, he's got a great pass. But right now, people are just crazy about ranking how strong this Packers defense right now with Edgerrin Cooper and the Commanders just beat a Giants team that I don't get. Brian Daboll is still head coach. He lets go Wink Martindale's defensive coordinator. Xavier McKinney leaves the Giants to come to Green Bay. Saquon Barkley leaves the Giants to lead the Eagles to a Super Bowl. And now, Daniel Jones just has become Danny Dimes with the Colts over the weekend.
Right.
So that's who the Commanders just beat 21-6 to kick off their season. Oh, and they got Russell Wilson now at quarterback with the Giants. So, let's hope that the Commanders are a little out of gas, and they got to, be on the road, and the Packers can start the season off 2-0 tomorrow night.
Mike, great stuff. We'll talk to you tomorrow night after the ball game, man.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it, bud. There you go. That fast. Boom. 1 hour down, another hour yet to go. Mark Schofield, SB Nation, lead NFL analyst. He is going to join us next. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers could be down a couple of starters on the offensive line tomorrow night when the Commanders come to town. The team released its final injury report earlier today, with right tackle Zach Tom and left guard Aaron Banks both listed as questionable for the game. Both left Sunday's win over Detroit with injuries, were unable to return. Quarterback Jordan Love knows it's not ideal, but it's not something they have much control over.
It's one of those things where obviously we depend on what happens going into Thursday. We might have some guys out there who haven't been out there. So one of those things where you just got to adjust on the fly. We got to get those guys as many reps in these walkthroughs and things like that, just hearing the calls, knowing the calls. But these guys are all pros. I've got confidence in them that they'll be able to go out there and do their job and execute at a high level. And it's just a matter of getting your mind mentally ready for whatever might happen.
In addition to Tom and Banks, edge rusher Micah Parsons, cornerback Nate Hobbs, and safety Zane Anderson also listed as questionable. Quarterback Bo Melton, defensive lineman Brenton Cox have already been ruled out. Kick is slated for 7:15. Meanwhile, the team announced a contract extension for wide receiver Christian Watson, who's still coming back from a torn ACL. He was due to be a free agent at the end of this season, but is now signed through next year. Turning to Wisconsin, they will head to Alabama this weekend to face the Tide. Give me the first true road game against an SEC opponent since 1972.
We're running Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers got swept down in Texas, falling 6-3 in the finale of their 3-game series. Dropped their lead in the NL Central down to 6 games on Chicago. They'll host the Cardinals on Friday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Are you ready for some football? He talks green and gold. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels.
Welcome in, hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Huddle on a Wednesday night. Don't forget, we are here in the Northwoods. Kind of Kevin-esque, right? If you're watching at home, watching on YouTube, Twitch TV, LinkedIn TV, X, whatever you're watching on tonight. Packers, Commanders getting ready to go at it tomorrow evening. It's a whiteout game for fans and company heading up to Lambeau Field. So again, anybody wearing maroon, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. That's for sure. But tomorrow night, this is the only home game we're going to miss all season long. We are going to be broadcasting the Green and Gold postgame show live here in the Northwoods. We're going to be at Castaways Pub and Grill tomorrow night. Come on by in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. So if you're coming up for the fall ride, if you just live here, or if you're in Wausau or Minocqua or any of the surrounding areas, come on by. We're looking to pack the house tomorrow night. A lot of Packers fans getting together to hopefully watch the Packers knock off the Commanders in game number 2 in a very short period of time, as this young NFL season has just gotten underway. So we'll be there tomorrow night. Party starts at about 7. And then after that, the Green and Gold postgame show goes from 10:30-ish, at least until midnight. And then hopefully we're celebrating a victory after that. So really looking forward to tomorrow night. Mark Schofield, SB Nation. And always great to talk to him. Always great to pick his brain. Always great to kind of take a look around the rest of the National Football League. Mark, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
I'm doing well, Bill. Fantastic to be back. Always great to chop it up with you each week.
So give me your first impressions, the Packers' use of Micah Parsons, the Packers getting a pretty dominating win over the Detroit Lions, all of that.
Yeah, I think the word dominated is extremely accurate in this situation. You're talking about a team in the Detroit Lions that a lot of people look to as one of the better teams, not just in the NFC North, but in the NFC overall. And to get that kind of win in that kind of fashion where you really stifle Jared Goff and that Detroit Lions offense, you hold them in check for much of that game. I think that was a very impressive way to open the season for the Green Bay Packers. You know, you asked about Parsons. I thought the way they used him, you know, given the back injury, given the late trade in the trading camp portion of the schedule, using him as a situational pass rusher and seeing the immediate impact he made. His first snap, really, getting pressure on Jared Goff and, you know, creating an opportunity for players around him to get home. I think it was a good sign of what's to come from Jeff Hafley's usage of him. I think it's a good sign of what's to come from Micah Parsons in this Packers defense. So I thought that was impressive. And look, we always talk about this each week, the quarterback play. I thought Jordan Love played a very good game for the Packers, very efficient with the football and some of the throws. And really some of the decisions he made, Bill, I thought showed a big step forward for him. We talked about it last week, how, look, with the expectations that Packers are facing this year, with the Parsons trade and the fact that you're putting all the chips into the middle of the table and going all in, Jordan Love needed to take a big step forward. He did that here in week 1.
Let's go back to the Thursday night opener. Philadelphia, Jalen Carter gets ejected right away for spitting on Dak Prescott. And after that, pretty close game. And I said before, there's not a lot of moral victories in the National Football League. But if you're a Cowboys fan, at least you walked away with a little bit of optimism going in there on raising the banner night, playing against the Eagles in a hostile atmosphere and making it close, a 24-20 loss. I think I feel a little bit better about the Cowboys at this point, at least if I'm a Cowboys fan, about where maybe they're at with Dak Prescott, and they were able to kind of stuff the run, hold Saquon Barkley. They just couldn't stop Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think that's all very fair about where the Cowboys were going into that game and where they sort of are and how their fans should be feeling right now. I mean, we sort of made fun about Jerry Jones saying, look, the Micah Parsons trade, we need to stop the run. But with respect to Saquon Barkley, they did that. Held them to under 60 yards, which I think is a very good performance from that defensive line and from that Cowboys defense. And like you said, the bigger picture context of that game, that environment, Thursday night kickoff game, going into Lincoln Financial, they're raising the banner, they're honoring the Super Bowl team. That's a tough environment to go play on the road in week one, just days after the Micah Parsons trade, and to do that. And really, you do wonder about the weather delay because both offenses were rolling. Both offenses were really playing well. You have the elongated delay, and then both offenses seemed a bit sluggish when they finally resumed that game. If you're a Cowboys fan, you might have been wondering, hey, absent the weather delay, do we have a shot at actually winning this game? But to come out of that and lose by 4, like you said, no moral victories in the NFL. But as a Cowboys fan, you're probably feeling a lot better about where they are now here in week 2 than you were going into that game to kick off the season.
So let's go to the Kansas City game on Friday night. And I just talked to Sean Merriman earlier, and I asked, is this more of a statement for the Chargers getting better, Kansas City getting worse, or a combination of both? What were your thoughts on that contest?
I think it's more to that question, a combination of both. I think from, looking at it from a Chargers perspective, we wondered, are they finally going to live up to the expectations that we always seem to put on the Los Angeles Chargers going into a season? And for week 1, they did just that. I thought Justin Herbert played a fantastic game, looked in command of that offense. Defensively, they seemed to really sort of frustrate, absent a couple of downfield throws. They frustrated Mahomes in that passing game. And then when you start looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, it's sort of the questions we had about them in their offense last year. We're seeing them already in week 1. Can they create explosive plays? Can they take the top off the defense more than we've seen them do or struggle to do, perhaps more accurately, in the past couple of seasons? And I think those questions are still lingering about Mahomes in this Chiefs passing game. We tend to give them the benefit of the doubt. We tend to think, look, they'll figure it out. But I'm still wondering, are we going to see more explosive plays in the vertical passing game? Are we going to see Mahomes be aggressive a little bit more this year than he has been in seasons past? Or are they still going to struggle to create those explosives in the downfield passing game, which then open up so much of what they've been doing well, which is the underneath horizontal element of that playbook? So those are some of the questions I still have about Kansas City after that loss in week 1.
I got to admit, Tampa Bay and the Falcons, I thought for sure the Falcons would get that win at home. Baker Mayfield impressed the hell out of me. 5 carries, 39 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, no picks in that contest, and looked really good. And they that defense stymied the running game of Bijan Robinson. Only 12 carries, 24 yards. As much as I thought the Atlanta Falcons were going to take that jump and surprise a few people, boy, I give a lot of credit to Tampa Bay going into that environment and being able to pull out a win.
I think it was a very impressive performance from Tampa Bay. And, Baker had a slow start. I think he started to like 0 for 4, 0 for 5 in that game, but really sort of came on. Abuka looked fantastic. He had the 2 touchdowns. Their first connection, Baker to Abuka, was one of the better throws I saw all week. Getting that throw in over the safety that buzzed down and a sort of inverted coverage soon look. But I also think, and you were right to bring this up, their defense, I think, is going to be a problem for teams, not just Atlanta, but league-wide. That defense is going to cause some problems. They can get after you up front. They can stifle the run. And, as we've seen the NFL become a bit more run-heavy, it's not the NFL of old, certainly not by any stretch of the imagination, but the run game is playing a bit more of an element for a lot of teams, especially Atlanta. But for that defense to slow down Bijan Robinson was huge. I think it speaks well to what they'll be able to do this season. So I thought a very impressive win from Tampa Bay. I do think Tampa Bay is one of those teams to watch in what is a crowded NFC. We've talked about it a lot, but I do think they're a team to watch here as we start getting into the season, getting into October. That's a team I think could put together a very good season.
Got to ask you about the Monday night contest. You saw the Bears look good in that game. Offensively, they still weren't on point, and certainly what Caleb Williams did in the second half was a very booable offense if you're a Bears fan. But for J.J. McCarthy to stand tall and just not let that moment get away from him, because it could have after the pick 6, and he didn't, I thought showed a lot of character on his part. I think Caleb Williams, his 3rd coach in a year and a game, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I think he's still an uber talented quarterback. But man, what a tale of 2 halves for the Vikings and the Bears.
Oh, absolutely. And really for J.J. McCarthy, really, he had 3 questionable quarters. Had that pick 6 where a lot of people were starting to wonder, okay, is this going to be a problem here? But full credit to him, and like you said, to bounce back from that. And what I really loved about what J.J. McCarthy did, particularly starting in the fourth quarter, was the way he learned from that pick six. You can see on that pick six, the velocity wasn't there on that out route to Justin Jefferson. He got baited into making that throw. Credit to Dennis Allen for dialing up that zero blitz, knowing he would throw the out route to Jefferson. They jump it for the pick six. You think the game's going away from them. Then he hits early in the fourth quarter an out route, basically the same exact route to Justin Jefferson. He's got pressure in his face, hangs in there in the face of pressure, absolutely rips it, high velocity on the throw, takes a big hit, but bounces up. And I felt like watching that live and then rewatching it on Tuesday morning, that's when he felt like, okay, I can do this. And from there, he was a completely different quarterback. And so a very impressive performance from J.J. McCarthy in that fourth quarter, in that comeback. And he showed that, look, he can learn from. And let's not forget, and he mentioned this postgame, it was his first competitive game in over 600 days. Last time he played a competitive game, he was wearing a Michigan uniform in that national championship game. So I think he deserves a little bit of leeway there, too. It's been a while since he suited him up for real. As for Caleb Williams, you're right. We'll give him some time. Third coach in 3 years, new coach with Ben Johnson. I think they can figure this out. But what's worrying to me, if I'm a Bears fan, not just the misses, but the misses on big play opportunities. He had a couple of chances in that game, one in particular to DJ Moore on the left side of the field, where he's wide open by 10, 15 feet, nobody near him, and he can't keep the throw in bounds. And that's one pretty clean pocket. Those are the throws that you have to be able to make if you're going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. Caleb Williams didn't do that on Monday night. Can he get there? Yes, like you said, very talented quarterback, but he's got to hit some of those throws.
Sticking in the NFC and talking about quarterback play, a lot of screams right now to bench Russell Wilson. Like it's time to go. We saw it in the last 4 or 5 games with Pittsburgh. He did not look good in the game against the Giants again. He was inaccurate, trying to run around, hanging onto the football. Do they make a change sooner rather than later?
I think it's going to be sooner rather than later, but I still think it's going to be a couple of weeks just because of their schedule and the way it sets up. There is sort of a natural early October opportunity where they play the New Orleans Saints down in New Orleans. Like that might be an opportunity where you see the switch to Jackson Dart. Yes, it's a road game. You probably don't want to, all things being equal, maybe you don't want to start a rookie on the road, but that's a game you can win. That might be the opportunity for it. Absent that, it's probably not till New England in December because of the way their schedule is so tough. Because after that Saints game, they've got 2 out of 3 of their next games are against the Eagles. You probably don't want to put them against that defense in Jackson Dart. Now, with respect specifically to Wilson, I think the offensive line, with Andrew Thomas out, that was a patchwork unit in front of him. Washington got a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson early in that game, and you saw the impact of that. This was still a 14-3 game deep into the second half. The Giants had some chances to get it to a one-score game, but early pressure in the down that rattled Wilson early in the game in the first half, started to really take its toll in the second half. He was playing with happy feet. He was running around, like you said. So I think they'll probably give it a couple of weeks here, but I do think you're right. We're going to see Jackson Dart sooner rather than later, perhaps that Saints game in early October.
2 more quarterbacking situations. Let's go to the AFC. You got a lot of money wrapped up in that tandem, or I should say that trio over there in Cincinnati. All they were able to muster was 17 points. Their offensive line is going to get Joe Burrow killed, and it took a couple of missed field goals for them to even win that contest. If I'm a Bengals fan, am I sitting here going, what the hell did we just pay for? We got good talent, but they've skimped everywhere else, and now it obviously shows.
Yeah, I think you're a little worried because let's not forget the plan this summer from Zach Taylor was we can't have another slow start. 1-9 over the first couple of games these past few seasons, right? So they play Joe Burrow, they play Jamar Chase, they play their starters. You win by 1 point against the Browns, who are playing a quarterback in my age bracket. That's not a good look. And look, like you said, you have a missed field goal, you have a missed PAT, you've got 2 interceptions from Joe Flacco. Like, that's a game you should have won going away. You were favored by 5.5 by most books that I saw it. To win that game by 1 point after this new and improved plan to get those guys ready by playing them in preseason games, that's not a win that inspires any level of confidence right now. So I think, look, if you're a Bengals fan, you have to be a little bit worried about the way you started yet again here. Yes, you get a win, but you were expecting, at least a touchdown win over this Browns team. And this is a game they seriously could have lost.
Then we set our sights in New York, and that was the Steelers facing the Jets. First of all, I thought Justin Fields probably played his best ball ever in the National Football League. But Aaron Rodgers reminded everybody, hey, I still got gas left in the tank, and don't count me out. That was a hell of a performance by both quarterbacks.
Four quarterbacks played extremely well in that game. I think, like you said, Justin Fields, that might have been not just his best game in the NFL, but his most comfortable game in the NFL. And what I mean by that is how he looked in the pocket with his eyes, with his feet. He looked in command of that offense. We expected him to have some success running the ball, and certainly he had the rushing touchdown, but he looked good throwing from the pocket. But Aaron Rodgers, to his credit, played some of his best football we've seen in recent years. You know, one of those touchdowns on a fly sweep, jet sweep designed to John Smith. Okay, maybe that wasn't a high level of difficulty type play, but some of the other reads and throws, it was a vintage Rodgers type performance. And so my main takeaway from that game is, hey, you know, a lot of people were down on the Jets, wondering about how good they might or might not be this year. People had questions, but you still had it. I think you come away from that game thinking, okay, maybe the Jets, maybe Rodgers still has something left in the tank for us.
No doubt. Hey, real quick, before I let you go, preview tomorrow night. Commanders, obviously, with a pretty solid win coming into Lambeau Field, but 64% of teams on Thursday nights do not walk away traveling victorious. So they're already, statistically, the Packers have an advantage in this particular case. But now you're going to see even more indoctrination of Micah Parsons and more indoctrination of Jordan Love via this offense. Who you got?
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game. I mean, you look at these two teams, these two young quarterbacks. I mean, I think it's going to be a fascinating game to watch. But I think with, as you said, working Parsons in a little bit more, getting him some more snaps, I think the better this defense is going to be. And yes, look, Washington going to win in one, but it didn't really instill a lot of confidence. You know, it wasn't a command performance. So I really do like Green Bay. I think that from what we saw with these two teams and how they played against the different levels of competition they faced in week one, I think you have to be pretty confident if you're a Packers fan going into Thursday night.
Mark, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate it. And can't wait to talk to you again next week with all the storylines that unfold in the National Football League, okay?
Already looking forward to it, Bill. Enjoy the games this week.
Absolutely. There you go. Mark Schofield, SB Nation, joining us for a couple of minutes. Always love his stuff. Always appreciate it. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Love to hear from you. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a lot more to get to. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle on this Wednesday night coming up right after this.
Oh, yeah. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back in. Bill Michaels Show. The Huddle on a Wednesday night. Hopefully your evening is going extremely well. Certainly appreciate it. And hanging out with us. Don't forget, tomorrow night, it is a whiteout night at Lambeau Field. So if you're going to be heading over there for the Packers and the Commanders, make sure you are all adorned in white tomorrow night. Grant, are you a fan of the color nights, the whiteout night and stuff like that?
Yeah, why not? People last year were confused. It's like, well, why are they doing this when it's warm out? It's like, well, the wardrobe gets a little bit more limited when it's actually cold.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anyone owns a white snowsuit. So I think that's probably part of the reason they do it. I think it's cool. Thursday night, Monday night, special occasions, that sort of thing. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's kind of contrived, for lack of a better term. You know, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Google what that means real quick. Yes, contrived indeed. Yes.
Yes, it's kind of contrived, and it's I've always said, look, when they do stuff like this, it's it's to get you to go buy whatever color merchandise it is you don't have, you know. But I appreciate it. I do like when the Badgers will do red and white in different sections, and we've seen whiteout nights at, you know, different venues and such. I like it. I mean, it's a way for the fans to kind of feel like they're a part of something. But to me, it's for all of that, I look at it as just bring your voice. I mean, we know tomorrow night's tickets-wise are not necessarily selling right now real hot and at a high price. It is not a big moving game because of Thursday night football and stuff, and people have to go to work the next day, and so all of that stuff. But look, I think it's kind of cool that this is what you know, the Packers brass wants to do to involve everybody. But to me, it still goes back to you got to check number 2. You got to check the second box in this thing. So I'm excited for tomorrow night. We're going to get to our picks, obviously, coming up here at the bottom of the hour. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to take a break and we'll come back with our picks. But I don't know why. I don't know if it's the Micah Parsons effect as a fan. Do you get the feeling that the Packers have a different level of energy? Now, we're going to see it tomorrow night, and I don't want to play in hyperbole, like I'm going to get way out over my skis on this. But don't you feel like there's just something different going on right now that you can't put your finger on?
I tried to do this on my show tonight. I think it's multiple things that have kind of compounded over the offseason. I think the messaging was so deliberate from Goody and LaFleur at the end of last season about we need to up our sense of urgency. It's time we start competing for championships. So it started there. And then it was furthered in the draft when they said, yeah, we're going to draft a couple wide receivers. Like, we're not going to sit around and wait on these young guys, which upped the urgency. They signed free agent starters, upping the urgency. I think this team was obviously really jacked up to play the Lions. And I bet that's something that was preached all summer. And then they signed Micah Parsons a week before the season. So I think it's, you know, progressively the urgency and the ante's been upped kind of all throughout the offseason. And then you win week number 1 and hopefully it continues. Hopefully it doesn't now just drop off and everyone goes, okay, we beat the Lions. We did what we set out to do and now we're good. And they fall back into some of the bad habits we saw last year.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's do this. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. So we got plenty of time because we're going to get into all of our NFL picks. We'll tell you how we did last week. And I think if you're following along at home and maybe you're throwing a few dollars down, you might be winning a little bit of money along the way. But we'll come back. We'll get you the entire schedule, everything. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Huddle on this Wednesday night, the next two segments, we'll look around the rest of the NFL.
Let we go. This is the Huddle with Bill Michaels on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's that time. Welcome in. The Huddle back on the air this Wednesday night. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. People are asking about, where'd you go, Bill? I think my camera died, to be perfectly honest with you. It just shut off. Next thing you know, boom, I was gone. So it's Grant. It's Grant's face. That's about the extent of it. I don't have one.
I'll turn my camera on.
I don't have it anymore.
You got to look at somebody.
Yeah,
All
I was
right.
gonna say I unplugged everything and I kind of reset it, but it must have just croaked. So up here in the woods, there's only so much electric to go around.
When I was first hired, they said, at least you're good looking. We can figure out everything else. So I was actually hired as eye candy.
There you go.
I learned how to become a producer.
That's all you need.
We actually, by the way, on our picks last week, we did better than I thought. We both went 9 for 16, so a little bit better than 500, which is, if we can just do that all year. And we were close on some of these, like we missed Tennessee, Denver by half a point, Buffalo, Baltimore by half a point. So not only were we above 500, but we were close on a couple of others. But that's gambling, by the way. That's why these lines are set the way they are.
Right. But not a bad way to go. You take it, I mean, I'll take it in a heartbeat. All right, let's do this. We have got games coming up this week. Obviously, tomorrow night's game we'll pick last. So what do you got on the docket? Grand Bills.
We can run through the noon games. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. That's a good one to start with. Cincinnati won in week 1 barely, and they're favored by 3.5 at home.
I'm going to take 3.5 in Cincinnati. I'll given that out because they looked bad offensively. That was a wake-up call. Their offensive line needs to protect Joe Burrow. I think they're going to do better with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Their run game's not bad. P. Ryan is back. I think they're going to be okay. And Jacksonville, they're 1-0, but I still don't have a lot of faith in them. Cincinnati finally got a win to start the season, which is something they haven't been able to do in recent history. Paycor will be rocking. I think I'll go with Cincinnati giving up the 3.5 in this one.
And this is the Bengals home opener because they were in Cleveland last week, right?
Right.
Okay. I'll take Cincinnati for all those reasons as well. Some of these, like, again, and I feel like I say this every week, on some of these where I'm on the fence, I'm like, okay, which one will I be more mad about if I get it wrong? And I'll feel like a moron picking the Jags if I get it wrong. So I'll just go with the Bengals and hope. And those reasons that you mentioned. The Giants are in Dallas. So the Giants at the Cowboys favored at home by 5.5. We did get news, if it matters to you, that Deron Bland is going to miss a couple of weeks. Their corner that they just extended. So we did get that news today.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about it because Russell Wilson's going to be your starter. So I'm going to look for the Cowboys to do exactly what they do. And they're going to come home and they're probably feeling a little bit better about themselves being on the road in Philadelphia to open up the season and not looking or getting embarrassed, so to speak. I'm going to take the Cowboys at home. Dak Prescott, 21-34 in the last contest. Not a great day at the office by any stretch of the imagination. Only threw for 188 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. But I'm going to take Dallas in this one to cover.
Dak Prescott has not won playoff games in his career, but he has been a very effective player at home, especially when it comes to covering spreads and even some big spreads. And 5.5 isn't huge, but we got a lot of 1.5, 3.5 this week. I'll take Dallas at home. And remember, they have the rest advantage as well because they've been off for 10 days. Dallas has got they've been at home, and New York's got to travel on just a normal 7 days rest for whatever that's worth. This is one of the noon games. This is the one that I'm probably most excited about. Chicago at Detroit. Detroit at home favored by 6.5. So I think maybe that's more a response to how bad Chicago looked than people's belief of Detroit at the time, which seems to be down.
I'm going to take Detroit by 10. I think Detroit is pissed. I think Dan Campbell's pissed. I know that, there's no animosity between Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson and such, but I think Caleb Williams was somewhat exposed. Remember the last time that Chicago, though, went into Detroit, they had that game won. And Eberflus blew it. He completely mismanaged the time at the end of that ball game. But I just think, Detroit losing that first game against the Packers the way they did, I think they're going to bounce back in a big way. I'm going to take the Bears to cover, or excuse me, the Lions to cover.
But put it this way, because there's some revenge angles here. Do you think Bears players are more fired up to beat Dan Campbell for Ben Johnson, or do you think Lions players would be more fired up to beat Ben Johnson for their guy Dan Campbell?
I think Lions players are more fired up to get a win for Dan Campbell. I don't really think they care too much about Ben Johnson other than to say hello and they like the guy. But I think Bears players, if you go by what was written in the Go Long TD expose in that 3-part series, players were asking them to bench Caleb Williams, being uncoachable, and you saw him revert back to the same crap that he does. So I'm thinking this may have already been the death knell of this guy can't play quarterback, this guy can't bring us back, this guy can't be relied upon. Yeah. You may see the beginning of the end after game 1 of the Bears. Now, I'm going to wait and see because I still think Ben Johnson's a hell of a coach, and he's going to be the whisperer that's going to try to make Caleb Williams better. But Caleb Williams was just flat out bad. And when you're missing easy, makeable throws, guys are going to start looking at you. You can't look at the coaching anymore. You can't look at Eberflus and everybody else that was your offensive coordinator and head coach, or even Ben Johnson. You got to look at Caleb Williams. So I'm going to take the Lions.
I will as well. They'll have the rest advantage. It's their home opener. I think they'll be pissed. And I think their players will be more fired up to fight for their head coach rather than the other way around. And their quarterback, for what it's worth. The Rams are in Tennessee. The Rams favored by 5.5 on the road. Cam Ward looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot of run. Didn't get talked about. He made some nice throws, and they played a closer game in Denver last week than I thought they would.
Right.
Tennessee.
What's that spread again?
Rams minus 5.5.
I'm going to take the Rams. Matthew Stafford looked good for not practicing and all of that with the back issues, 21 and 29. And he completed 72.5% of his passes for 245 yards and a touchdown. Cam Ward, 12 out of 28. Looked okay, like you said, but he still got some weapons. And, I never was a big Tony Pollard fan, by the way. So even though he had 18 carries for 60 yards, not going to happen. But I'm gonna go with LA. I'm gonna take the Rams in this one. It just seems like such a mismatch right now at this point.
I like their coach more. I like their quarterback more, and I like their roster a lot more. So yeah, I'll take the Rams as well. New England at Miami. The Dolphins are favored by 1.5 here. That's so damning for New England. Like, Miami looks like they already want to give up on the season. And the Patriots, I'm not sure if their quarterback's any good. I'm not sure if they have any good players.
I'm going to go with
Miami favored by 1.5.
I'm going to go with the Patriots on the road. And here's the reason why. I think you have another bad core. It looks like already that team's ready to quit on Mike McDaniel. It just does. I'm going to take the Patriots on the road to get the upset win.
I think I'm going to take Miami because I just fail. I really struggle to see a world in which a team quits on the season before it ever starts. They have to have one game where they show up. New England's beatable. They're at home. I refuse to believe that Miami can't throw one single punch the entire season, and I think New England might stink, and I don't really like their roster. So if for no other reason to keep it spicy, I'll take the Dolphins and probably hate myself for it. San Francisco is in New Orleans. We're going to put an asterisk by this. It sounds like Mac Jones is going to start because Brock Purdy's beat to hell. George Kittle's got a hamstring. He's out as well.
Yeah.
So that probably impacts the line. The Niners by 2.5 on the road.
I'll take the Niners to win. You know what? I'll take the Niners to cover. The Saints are just such a bad team. There's nothing to them. There just isn't. Who do they got? Spencer Rattler is their quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing there that's impressive. Nothing there that makes you go, wow. They've got something on the horizon here. I don't see it. So yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers in this one. Spencer Rattler last week, a quarterback rating of 70.4, 27 of 46, didn't throw a touchdown, didn't throw a pick, nothing there. They got Alvin Kamara, who seems like he's still there. It's like he should be 48 years old at this point, but nothing. I think his better days are behind him. They still have Chris Olave, but 7 catches, 54 yards. Again, nothing spectacular. It's kind of just getting the ball out in the flats, quick checkdowns. Nothing much. I'm going to take San Francisco to win this game.
Look, this is a gross football game that very few people will watch. I'll take New Orleans because I might actually like Spencer Rattler more than I like Mac Jones. And they're at home, and I get a couple points. Yeah. So if I had a finite amount of money to bet, I would not put any of my hard-earned money near this game. But because we're picking, that's how I'll pick
and by the way, Nick Bosa, he's back. He's completely healthy. 3 tackles for loss last week, a sack. He's going to get to Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. I just don't know if Mac Jones is going to be able to. I don't know. That game's a mess. I wouldn't bet my hard-earned money on that, but that's the way I'd pick it. I'll take the Saints because I like Rattler more, and I get a couple points. Buffalo is at the Jets. They're favored by 6.5. I think I came away from last week and actually more impressed with Justin Fields, even though they lost.
I'm gonna take the Jets to cover. I think Buffalo got a huge win, a huge lift. They were exposed early, and they had to come scrambling back. Takes a lot of energy to do that. It was a terrific game for them. Buffalo wins the game, but I think the Jets cover in this one. The Jets got a little bit of a moral victory. Now, if they lose this game, there's no moral victories back-to-back weeks because you've got 2 losses already to start the season, and you're digging a hole you can't climb out of. I think the Jets are going to be fighting this week. I think they're going to make it close. I still think Buffalo wins the game.
I'll take Buffalo to cover. I like mixing it up a little bit. I think it's going to be close, but not within 6.5. I think the Jets will show well, but that only gets you so far, Bill. Like as we get into weeks 4 and 5, you can only keep stacking so many moral victories before the team just gets sick of losing right on the actual scoreboard. But I think the Jets will continue to fight. I just don't think they'll cover 6.5. Seattle at Pittsburgh. We have 2 more in the noon slate, and then we can break. Seattle is in Pittsburgh.
Did we miss
Should be an interesting game.
Okay, I was going to say, did we miss the other one? Because there was another one. Seattle and Pittsburgh, and then
Cleveland and Baltimore.
Cleveland. I was going to say, I thought we missed Cleveland and Baltimore. Okay,
and I'll triple check to make sure those are the only 2. But Pittsburgh's favored at home by 2.5.
Seattle coming east is not an easy haul by any stretch of the imagination. Steelers going home. Rodgers looked impressive. I still was a little bit concerned about the Steelers defense to give up that many points to the Jets. I mean, don't get me wrong. Justin Fields looked about as good as he could possibly look. TJ Watt's still TJ Watt. But I just don't know if what's the spread on this game again?
Pittsburgh minus 2.5.
Well, I'll take Pittsburgh. I'll just take Pittsburgh to win and cover. And again, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns, 244 yards, a 136.7 quarterback rating. And he has fallen in love with DK Metcalf, by the way. 4 catches, 83 yards. Calvin Austin, solid. But I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by the way, TJ Watt, 2 tackles for loss. Alex Highsmith getting into the backfield as well. And you've got Hayward paid. I think they're going to be a better team this week defensively against Sam Darnold and company. They're going to run him all over that field.
I think Pittsburgh's defensive front plays better against Sam Darnold and the Seahawks than it does against Justin Fields, who can really move. And Darnold can move a little bit, but I also think Darnold gets rattled. And in a way that maybe Fields didn't, because Fields can just run, and he knows that. So I think maybe he's a little bit more mistake prone. And I think Pittsburgh's going to be rocking, because I think a lot of Pittsburgh fans were probably skeptical of this whole Rodgers thing. And then they watched last weekend their team on the road, and they're like, holy balls.
Right.
Like, we might have it. So I think whatever the Acrisure Center, the old Heinz Field, whatever it's called now, I think it'll be a really good environment for their home opener. So I'll take Pittsburgh. They just need to win by a field goal. Lastly, Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore off that loss is favored by 11.5. It's the biggest number of the week.
They're going to beat the hell out of Cleveland. I'll take Baltimore to win and cover that. I think they are just going to be salivating for the Cleveland Browns. They were embarrassed in the second half of that ball game. And I think they're going to be salivating to come out. And plus, they're at home. I think they're going to be salivating to make an example out of Cleveland. I think Myles Garrett is one of the good things that they have going there, and he's going to chase Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson is no statuesque performer like Joe Burrow is. It's not going to be easy to catch Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's going to have a big day. Derrick Henry's going to have a big day, I get the sense. So I'll take Baltimore to win and cover.
I will like Baltimore as well. Because I think for all the reasons that you said, they're pissed off and they're going to want to rock and roll. So I'll take Baltimore. Those are the noon games we can break and come back. There's 3 o'clock games, Monday night doubleheader, and then we can do the Packers as well.
Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll come back. We got more picks to make. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Huddle on this Wednesday night coming up after this.
Bill Michaels will resume Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We are less than 24 hours away of kickoff and a whiteout over at Lambeau Field coming up tomorrow night. Commanders coming to town, taking on the Green Bay Packers. Packers looking to go 2-0 to start this season. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy, a lot of vibe going on right now for the Green Bay
Packers, and we'll see if they're able to sustain and then get themselves a little bit of a mini bye before taking off for the mistake by the lake that is Cleveland. Let's get back at it as we continue to make our picks for this week, including the Packers upcoming. So what else do we got, Grant?
So the 3 o'clock slate has a couple of duds and then one really great game, which is not out of the ordinary. We'll start with one of the duds. Denver at Indy. Denver was a big favorite against Tennessee last weekend. They didn't cover, but they did win fairly comfortably. They're favored by 1.5 at Indy, who showed pretty well last weekend, actually. Right. That surprised me.
God, this is a tough one for me. I think Denver's a good football team. I think Bo Nix is solid. I'm going to take Indy at home. I'm going to take Indy at home. Can Daniel
You're buying
Jones,
the Daniel Jones hype.
Do it again? 22 of 29, 272 yards, a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor looked good, 71 yards rushing, 27 yards on the ground. Michael Pittman had a touchdown catch, 6 catches, 80 yards. But Denver's defense is really good. They're going to have to protect Daniel Jones big time. But I think there's a lot of good pieces in Indianapolis, and I think Sean Richardson was dragging them down. I'm going to take the Colts.
So I think there's some nice pieces in Indy, too. My fear is that Denver clobbers Indy, and I'm thinking, well, of course Indy looked good in week 1. They're playing the Dolphins, right? So how much of last weekend was Daniel Jones, Shane Steichen, and the Colts versus who they were actually playing? I'm going to take Denver because I believe in that coach and that roster and that quarterback more. But if Indy shows really well, because it's week 2, there's so much we still don't know. If Indy shows really well and this is a battle, then I think moving forward, we need to adjust our priors and take Indy a little bit more seriously. But I'm going to pick Denver with the belief that last week was more about the Dolphins than it was actually about the Colts, but only time will tell.
There we go.
It's still early. That's my excuse. There's only so much season under our belt, right? This is another dud of the 3 o'clock games before we get to the main course. Carolina at Arizona. Carolina was disappointing last week. I thought they'd look a little bit better than that. The Cardinals favored by 6.5 in their home opener.
I'm going to take the Cardinals and the Cardinals to cover. Marvin Harrison Jones is fast becoming a target. 5 catches, 71 yards, had his touchdown as well. Kyler Murray looked decent, and Kyler Murray, he'll play great for 7 games, then he goes into hiding. So this is one of the first 7. So I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. Bryce Young was terrible. 18 of 35, a touchdown, 2 picks, quarterback rating of 49. Chuba Hubbard, 57 yards, 3 catches in the air, did have a touchdown on the day. Not much there. Defensively speaking, they don't have a lot there. Bryce Young is a guy that's running around as well, trying to gain yardage. Had 5 carries for 40 yards. They just don't have much. So I'm going to take Arizona.
I will too. From you, that's strong commentary from you, because you're not a believer in Kyler or anything going on really down there. I like Kyler. I think he's very talented and fun to watch and is capable of some pretty great performances. I wouldn't want him as the quarterback of my team, but that's a separate thing. I think Arizona wins this comfortably.
I think he has a head in his rectum. He's just he's always blamed everything on everybody else, and he plays half a season, and then he can't figure out why nobody respects him.
He was Caleb Williams before Caleb Williams came and really jacked that up. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Kyler Murray, you play a lot of video games and don't take accountability. Watch this, right? See what a real diva quarterback is capable of. I'll take Arizona at home. All right, this is the main course of the afternoon. The Eagles at the Chiefs. Philly minus 1.5. What do you think?
Jalen Carter is back. He did not get suspended, technically. He got ejected and missed 1 whole game, and they did fine him for that. Are we looking at the beginning of the end of the Chiefs? I said so, that they would not get back to an AFC championship game. Well, it's so tough because they went to Brazil to play a game and looked bad against a pretty good Chargers team in doing so. And the Chargers play on Monday night. We're going to find out how good the Chargers are if they go in and knock off the 1-0 Raiders. But I just think the Chiefs at home, they're not going to let them do this to them twice. The Chiefs were supposedly pretty stout defensively. My head tells me take the Eagles all day long. My gut's telling me the Chiefs won't allow this to happen again. Although their offense has been pretty much depleted. Rashee Rice is out. Their main receiver, he's suspended. Their main receiver is out with an injury. They don't really have anybody, but they pull it off. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win.
So my head is telling me the Eagles as well. My gut is telling me that I need to use the bathroom the second the show is done. I'm going to take the Eagles. I just think I watched the Chiefs, and I think Mahomes is great, and Andy Reid is great. I just don't know if they have enough good players. Right. Like, that's my question. And Philly's calling card is we have all of the best players. So I think Philly, but if the Chiefs can scheme it up and out-execute, then I think it's game back on with the Chiefs, right? You start believing they're like, okay, yeah, they're still the Chiefs, and we still have to take them fully seriously as a contender. So I'll take the Eagles. We can split that one and see how it goes. Sunday Night Football. For the second straight week, J.J. McCarthy in primetime. Atlanta is in Minneapolis, and the Vikings are favored by 3.5.
I'm going to take the Vikings, not because I believe in J.J. McCarthy, but that defense is really good. And Michael Penix Jr. is going to have his hands full with that team coming up this weekend. As much as I really like Bijan Robinson and what he can do, and I think he's eventually going to break out. Remember, he had 124 yards, but 100 receiving yards and a touchdown. It wasn't running the football; it was catching the football for him. And I like Drake London. And I like the weapons they have. I just think that defense, though, of Minnesota is that good. And Hargrave really kind of put it all out there in that game against the Bears. He was a one-man wrecking crew with a couple of tackles and a couple of sacks. I think Minnesota's going to get him at home and cover.
I do, too. I'll feel dumb watching the game if I pick the Falcons. 2 Monday night games we can do real quick, and then we can do the Packers last. Tampa Bay is in Houston. The Texans favored by 2.5, actually. They did not show well against the Rams.
No, they did not. I am going to take Tampa Bay.
I will as well.
I think you're converting me a little bit, but Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield looked good. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Only threw for 167 yards, but had 3 touchdowns on the day. Egbuka is all of that and then some. They used him in an end around as well. He ended up picking up 9 yards in that one end around play. You still have Mike Evans, 5 catches, 51 yards. Bucky Irving had 4 catches and 8 yards, but also got into the end zone. I like what Tampa Bay brings to the table. I'm going to take them.
I do too. I'm going to take them as well. I will probably be picking them a lot this season, especially if I'm getting points. I like the quarterback more. I like Baker more than CJ Stroud right now, and I'm getting points. The Rams are in Las Vegas. The Chargers are in Las Vegas. Excuse me. I was going to say we already picked the Rams. The Chargers are in Las Vegas, and they're favored by 3.5. Vegas looked kind of good.
Yeah.
It's tempting, isn't it?
It is. And the fact that the Chargers had to go to Brazil, then come home, then travel again. I wonder what
you think they have the rest advantage, but when you're flying back from South America, how much of that is an actual advantage?
But Justin Herbert looked really good against the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers. We talked about it with Mark Schofield. He said, you get that second and third year of Harbaugh, and he starts to mold them, and so maybe this is going to be it. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Raiders. Not really anything against the Chargers. I just think the Raiders are a little bit better than everybody thinks, and I get a couple points, and they're at home. So I'll do the Raiders. Not really anything against the Chargers. I just think the Raiders can pull this one out. Right. All right, Packers tomorrow night. They are favored by 3.5 at home. Bill, the most satisfying part of Sunday's win, and there were a lot of reasons to be satisfied. We both picked the Packers and were right, which happens very rarely.
Which is dangerous. Jordan Love, 128.6 quarterback rating, a couple of touchdowns. Also, though, through those 2 picks, one called back by penalty, one just dropped. That makes me nervous. But they ground on him, and they wore him down. This is a different animal. I'm going to pick the Packers to win. But if they – what's the spread on this?
3.5.
I'll take the Commanders to cover. I think it's a close game. I think the Packers win, but I'm going to take the Commanders. Packers like 24-23, 21-20, something like that. I'm going to take the Commanders to cover. Jaden Daniels is a different animal. Just is. He's not Jared Goff, and they've got Deebo Samuel. They got McLaurin. They got just guys that can move. I'm going to take them to cover. Packers are going to win the game, but I'm going to take the Commanders to cover.
I'm going to take the Packers because I think they're absolutely going to wreck shop around Jaden Daniels. Doesn't mean they'll sack him 5 or 6 times, but I just think he's going to be frazzled and running around, and I think it's going to be hard for them on a short week to stay on schedule and stay organized offensively.
Yeah. Well, not to mention coming to Lambeau Field, like I've always said, 64% of the teams that travel on Thursday night don't get a win. So I'm going to take the Packers to get the win.
And I'm going to mark down, you've picked the Packers to win but not cover. So I'm going to make that clear. If that happens, I'm going to get you credit for that next week.
Right.
Or Friday, I guess. Friday. Yeah.
That's it. That'll do it. Good stuff. It's time for us to get out of here. Back at it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time. And then don't forget, tomorrow night, we're going to be at Castaways. Until we talk to you tomorrow, time for us to go. Have a go.